to talk about distractions in life. So, on my other channel, I spoke about different types of distractions that we have in our life when there's goals that we want to reach. What I feel like is that a lot of times we don't realize that some of the things that's stopping us from doing what it is that we want to do is a distraction, but it's like in that moment, in that time, you don't realize that it's a distraction. You know, say for instance, something super small as like driving in traffic and then someone cuts you off. And then you're really upset about that. But then you allow that thought about the audacity of this person cutting you off in traffic and then possibly driving slow at that and then holding up traffic even after they cut you off or whatever. And then it's like you're thinking about that 10 minutes later. You hold the distraction away from the things that you want to do in life. Then it drops your energy down. Then it's like, ugh, what was I thinking about? What was I doing? What was I supposed to be doing right now? And then in that moment, you were probably like trying to remind yourself, hey, when I get to a safe place, I need to look this up or I need to jot this down. And yet you forgot to do that because you were distracted by someone cutting you off in traffic, right? I feel like that these distractions come all the time and all the time in a sense that, does it make you stronger? Does it knock you off, your feet? And then it's almost like you have to start all over again. Now, me discussing like the traffic, that's a pretty small distraction, right? But what if you got into some bigger things like maybe relationships, right? Say for instance, you're one of those people in your relationships that you're holding the majority of the weight. You are supporting your mate. You are the cook and the cleaner. You are the provider. Whatever the case is. And you're not feeling like you get that back in return, or you're not getting the support you need, but you're helping that other person like reach their goals, and then your focus becomes mainly on them, and not even to shoot the other person down, because sometimes, I would say a lot of times, it's our own fault. Like, we're the ones that are causing this situation to happen, right? Because we're so focused on wanting to help someone else that we're not making sure we're helping ourselves, right? So that can be one example, but then it could be, other relationships. It could be your work situation. Are you wearing yourself out at work, and then you get home and you can't spend any time focusing on the things that you want to do for yourself? Perhaps you're one of those people that says, I'm not going to work a job for the rest of my life. However, you give so much to this job that you're working at, and you get home and you're kicking your feet up. You're not spending any time on working on the entrepreneurship that you want to have or to start, or this business or that business. And I'll give you an example. Like, for myself, I was doing just that very thing for my company. And then I realized for 2 years they didn't give me my raise. They didn't do my review, and no one said anything to me. And then I just happened to talk to a coworker of mine that started after me, and she had got 2 raises. And I was like, you got 2 raises already? You started after me and no one even brought mine up? And I know I am doing the work here. Like, I am busting my butt here on this job, helping with everybody in all departments. And so I mentioned it, and I got a raise, but it was a small raise. And then the company told me, because my rate is so high, that my pay was capped. And I was like, huh. So you know what I did? I realized that my work and all the things that I was doing to hold this company together was not it they enjoyed it, yes. However, I was not appreciated. So since my pay was capped, so was my work. And so what I started to do was only do the things that are in my job description, because if you're not going to pay me to overdo the work here, then I'm not going to do it when you cap my pay, because you are telling me that you don't appreciate the work that I do. And so that was a whole rant, and I need to get back on track. But perhaps that's the example for yourself. If you're wearing yourself out at work, stop. Unless they're paying you good. I mean, they're paying you for your work, then go ahead by all means. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it could be a situation like that. The other situations could be like, like family, um, someone's always getting in trouble, and you're the one that's always trying to, help and want to be understanding or bail them out or whatever the case may be. Um, but let's go into something like more personal to self, right? What are your personality traits? Are you a fly off the handle? Um, do you feel like you got to solve the world's problems? I hope not. Um, are you a procrastinator? Your habits. Do you push things off until the next day type of thing? Are you always scrolling on that roller coaster rabbit hole of social media? What are your habits? Like what is it that you're doing, in your own self, that perhaps you are, pushing yourself back, or as I would say, keeping yourself on this hamster wheel where you can't get off, you can't go up, you can't go down. You're just here. You're just here, and that's it, right? But you're trying to move up or out or over to something different, and yet you can't do that because you're not allowing yourself to make those steps in progress, right? um One thing I do want to talk about, right? If you're somebody out here that believes in like the law of attraction or manifestation, there was something that I had talked with a friend about last week, and how, like, I found myself getting upset, right? Like, I like to listen to, the people that talk about manifestation, or, whatever the situation is. And, in order for us to, to bring these things into our lives, right? However, what I realize is that when I listen to them, it's a thousand different things that you can try, right? And, they'll say, try it this way, or do it that way, or you did this wrong, or you did that wrong. But subjectively speaking, is there a right or wrong? Did you do it right? Did you do it wrong? The one thing that I do realize in the regurgitation of the things that they're saying, because I feel like a lot of times they're saying things that they're getting from other people, right? And then they'll go back and they'll say it. And I think that's also a reason why there's so many different ways to do so many different things, right? However, in saying all of that, I do believe that something will work for everybody. There's enough stuff out there that one thing will work for all of us, whichever thing that is for you, right? But the thing I feel like they forget to put on that is the actual need to work. It's not like, oh, start transforming your mind to think this way, but then you don't put action on it. Everything needs action, guys. And I think that's the biggest thing that they leave out, and that they make it seem like, oh, I can accomplish this, or oh, I can accomplish that, but I don't have to necessarily put any work behind it. That part is where I feel like, no, work is required, right? It's that thing of inspired action. Now I'll tell you what I thought about what inspired action was. I thought inspired action was spirit telling me or sending me a sign and saying, oh, go do this, or oh, go do that. But then I started thinking like, well, because I'll go do this and I'll go do that, thinking that that was the thing that I was supposed to do and that was my inspired action. But there was no gains out of those things, right? And I'm telling you, I've been in this whole uh, manifestation deal for over a decade, and through all the signs and do this and that, the amount of times that something actually went right, and I can almost call it a fluke at this moment, would say that maybe 4, 5, 6 times, and we're talking like over a decade of believing in the inspired action. But then I listened to something recently, and the person also was saying, hey, people, wake up. You have to actually do something. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to think this in my mind. I'm going to write these steps down. I'm going to repeat this, or I'm going to do this, and I'm going to light this candle and this incense, and then poof, it's going to happen. The person said, no, you have to work. Inspired action. And she says, inspired action being that get your butt up and go do it. If it's something you want to do, something you want to work at, okay, write your plan down. Think about it all the time. But get your butt out there and you start making movements towards it. I think that is the thing with everything. Because now we're about to reel in the whole distraction thing. What happens when you get distracted? Then it's like your energy, has dropped and you don't feel like making those actions towards your goal, right? I feel like the distractions will always be there, right? And sometimes those distractions are there to see if we really want what it is that we want. If we're really going to keep moving towards that goal that we want to reach, right? So we have to break out of being distracted by distractions. And that's regardless of what the distraction is, because anything can be a distraction, like the sun keeps hitting me in my eye. That's a distraction. It could stop me from delivering this video to you because I could be too distracted by the sun hitting me in my eye, right? So I think the biggest takeaway with this video is realizing that if there's a goal that you want to reach, we have to look within our own selves, right? We have to figure out what it is. What am I doing to stop my own self from pursuing this goal? What distractions are before me that's bringing my level of energy down, where I just feel like, I can't deal with this goal of mine right now because I'm tired, or, I have to handle this or that right now, right? And so we have to analyze these things in order for us to get off this hamster wheel, right? In order for us to progress in the steps necessary to reach that goal that it is that we're trying to reach. Because I believe we're all out here trying to reach milestones and goals and to do this and to do that. It doesn't matter the size of the goal or the milestone, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is, are we pushing ourselves towards it, right? Are we getting distracted by the minute things? Does our habits, does our personality, even the need of validation from others, or maybe you don't want to pursue something because you're worried about what this person thinks about what it is that you want to do, when it really doesn't even matter what that person thinks, because it's not their business in all actuality, and it doesn't matter who the person is. You are you, they are they, and whatever it is that you want to do in your pursuance in your life, you have to do, without the validation, without the opinions of others. Everybody in this world is entitled to an opinion. Do you allow the distraction of that person's opinion to stop you from doing what it is that you want to do? So I'm saying all these things to be an encouragement to you, to say to you that you have the ability to reach any goal that you want to reach. You have the ability to stay consistent. You have the ability to think for yourself and know what you want. And you don't need the outside distractions. You don't need the opinions of others. You don't need validation from others. And it all starts here. Like, it all starts within us. So then start looking into yourself. If you feel like you're not going anywhere, you're just like, you're stagnant, just start like observing your own self and saying, what is it that I'm doing, right? That could be stopping me from reaching my goal. And then you start there and you start breaking away from those habits and forcing yourself. Because a lot of times, guys, let's just be honest. You're going to have to force yourself to do some things in order to progress and reach that goal. So I'm gonna leave it here because I like to keep it nice and short. And if you stuck around, like, subscribe, and leave a comment, share it, tell your friends, because I'll be back. All right, y'all. Until next time. Bye. Hey, y'all. Hey. So today we're going to talk about, I forgot to put my mic on. Hey, y'all. Hey. So today we're going to talk about, hey, y'all. Hey.